Okay, welcome to the Intro to Adobe Lightroom video for the Springfield Art Association. In this video, basically, we're going to walk through the initial setup of Lightroom. So for the purpose of this demonstration, what you're seeing on the screen right now is the default library that opens with Adobe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new library. Up here you can see it says Lightroom Catalog. We're going to go ahead and go to File and New Catalog. And then basically what it's doing here is it's asking us to create a folder for the new catalog. I'm going to go, I've got it set up on a hard drive and I've created a folder for it. So that's where I'm going to keep this catalog. And we're going to call this catalog SAA Photo. Alright, just like that. And if we hit create, it will close Lightroom and then relaunch it with the new catalog settings. And now you can see at the top it says SAA Photo as our catalog, and we're set to begin. First thing I want to do is I want to set up the preferences for my library, and so I'm going to go under File. Actually, I'm going to go under Edit, Preferences. And really what's important to set up on this is you have all your general, you can go through these, but really what I want you to set up the most is your external editing. In this you'll see that it's going to edit in Photoshop CC 2015, which is the most current version at the time of this video. The important settings is to change it to PSD. You'll want to do an sRGB color space. You can do Adobe or ProPhoto, but if you do sRGB, it's the most compatible to like printers and the internet web. So if you're outputting your images for use on the web or for printing, sRGB is going to be the best for you. Bit depth, it's going to default at 16, I believe. You can choose 16 or 8. I'm going to go ahead and choose 16. It'll have a little bit more dynamic range in the image. And then the resolution that defaults is 240. However, since most printers are set up to print with a resolution of 300, I prefer just to keep my images at that resolution. So these are the settings that you should use, and once you've got those entered, then you can click OK. And then the next thing you'll notice under Edit is we can go and set our catalog settings. So let's go ahead and click on that. Now here it's asking you how often would you like to back up your catalog. I personally like to back it up every time Lightroom exits. This way, once you exit Lightroom, it's going to give you the choice to back up or to skip. And if for whatever reason, let's say you just open up the catalog and you were just looking up a number or looking through the photos, but you didn't actually do any work, you didn't change anything, when you go to close it down, you can go ahead and skip the backup. But if you've done any kind of work at all, I think it's always great to make sure you back that up. And when you do launch that backup, it will ask you where you'd like to save it, and you can set that folder at that time. So we'll do that at the end. So we'll change that to every time Lightroom exits, and then under File Handling, so the standard preview size, go ahead and set that to auto. And then preview quality, go ahead and set that to high. And then automatically discard one-to-one previews after 30 days. That's totally fine to leave that. When we go into importing, we'll have it import the photos and build one-to-one previews. These are the higher res previews, giving you a really good idea what the photo looks like as you're working on it through Lightroom. And let's say it's a folder that we haven't looked at for the last 30 days or so. It's going to go ahead and just delete those one-to-one previews, but not to worry, it's not really ruining anything as far as your library goes. If you do go back into those folders, it will rebuild the previews for you, so you won't miss anything. And then under metadata, I think you should check this automatically writes changes to XMP. That way, if you do decide to open up your raw file in some other kind of editor. As long as you have that sidecar file, that XMP file with that, the changes that you make in Lightroom will also show up in that editor. So go ahead and click on that and then click OK. Now the third thing that we can do, and of course this is just personally up to you, you can leave it to where it says Lightroom up here, but you do have the option of changing that. So if you go to Edit and under Identity Plate Setup, we can actually go in here and set up our identity plate, and we can go ahead and call it whatever we want. So if we want it to say SAA photo, we can do so. You'll also notice here that there's a checkbox where you can use a graphical identity plate. This is great if you have like a studio logo or a logo of any kind. You can actually load the logo up, so your logo will show up in the side there. Just use like a transparent logo, like a PNG file, and it'll look great. So anyways, we'll go ahead and leave it with the text options. You can see here that you can actually change the fonts. You can change what the fonts are over here for your modules too. We'll leave everything else the way it is, and we'll just click OK. So that pretty much covers the general setup of it. Of course, there's a lot more things that you can do to customize Lightroom for yourself, but these are just some of the general things that'll get you started. So let's take a look at what Lightroom has in front of us right now. Over on the left hand side, you're going to notice that there's a navigator at the top, and then if you notice that Lightroom has these arrows that are pointing inward on each side, if you click on those, it will expand that window and you'll see other options underneath. So we'll expand a few of these. Catalog, this is basically showing you your entire catalog. We don't have any photos imported into our catalog right now. That's why it says 0 there, and we don't see anything under folders or collections at this point. Over onto the right hand side, you can see that we have histogram, develop, keywording, all that, which will become a lot more useful once we start importing photos. But at the top here, we have our library module, and then if we click over here, this is our develop module. This is the module that we'll use to actually affect our images with color changes and any kind of inside Lightroom retouching that we want to do. You also have the map module, which allows you to use the GPS setting in your camera to kind of map out where your photos were taken. You have a book setting that allows you to build a book, an album, and even order it through services like Blurb. And then we have a slideshow, print, and web. For the purposes of this class, we're pretty much just going to stick within the Lightroom and the develop module. And that's pretty much it. That's your quick overview of how to set up and get started with Lightroom. In our next videos, we'll talk about how to import the photos and how to use some of these modules to make changes. Thanks for watching.